Today we're talking about the 5 ways the INFJ bypasses everyone. INFJs go through the world and feel like there's a chip on their shoulder. So often I see INFJs say, well, it's harder for me. I'm super stressed out. It seems so much easier for other people. But the reason for this is that we don't really do the things that work for us. We try to emulate what works for most people, and that just doesn't help. We're working against ourselves. And once we figure out how to actually tap into our own strengths, how to see our strengths in a different light, we actually get to bypass so many people who want to live out more authentically, who want to live out more successfully on their terms and aren't able to do that. In the end, we can't make it happen for other people. What we can do is really be the best version of ourselves and through that inspire others. So don't feel bad for taking the initiative in making your life into something great. You got everything that you need. So today we're talking about the 5 ways the INFJ bypasses everyone. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you haven't done this so far, to download the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life formula. And if you want to take it to the next level and say, now I'm going to start taking my journey into my own hands and making it happen, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. Number 1. Lean into your strengths and not into your weaknesses. I know this sounds cliche and like everybody says it, but for INFJs, it looks differently. So what are some of our strengths? Well, we're really good at understanding people. We're good at creating systems. We're good at looking at a situation that hasn't existed yet and making something great out of it. What are we most likely not good at? For example, being detail-oriented or working all the time or whatever it may be. The things that I'm mentioning here are just examples. There are INFJs who experience this like the opposite, right? But the point is that we look at society and we say, okay, most people are SJ types, for example. So these are the skills that are being valued. So let's say you're this great artist and you create amazing, sculptures and experiences and whatever it may be, just art pieces. But all your life, you learned how to be an accountant. You've learned because you believe that is what is valued in society. And so you keep leaning into this. You try to put yourself in a situation that isn't really who you truly are. You lean into your weaknesses. You say, I have to actually get better at my weaknesses because my strengths don't really matter. And when you do this, you actually are exhausting yourself. You're not giving yourself the opportunity to make something amazing out of your life. And it doesn't have to be that you say, okay, I'm quitting my job as an accountant, which is something that gives me security, which is something that gives me safety, I'm being accepted, and I'm going to start my own business as an artist. Like, you don't have to make those choices. You can start building something that you like on the side, but it doesn't have to be an all or nothing approach. Even within that accounting firm, for example, look at what are your strengths? What are the things that you can do that others can't? Maybe you're the one who can actually win new clients because you can connect with people. A lot of people who are really good at this other stuff aren't really good at making that human connection and making the other person feel seen. And so if you yourself are not bringing those things forward, which are your strengths, because you feel like, those are not the things that are being valued. I actually have to get better at that accounting stuff in that example. You're not helping anybody. But if you go going into the world, at your workplace or whatever you are, and you really tell not only yourself but to the world, this is what I'm good at. Let's use that to make it happen. There are a lot of people who can do the other stuff that I'm not so good at. So why should I try to do that? You have great people for that. Let me do the thing that I'm good at. And because of that, we will be more successful. If you believe your own skill sets because their soft skills are not valuable, then you're wrong. Because those things create better results, more success, more money, whatever it may be. But it's on us to actually lean into our strengths and not look at, oh, I'm so bad at all these other things and that's why I'm not succeeding in life the way I want. Number 2, take the road less traveled. A lot of people cannot handle being on their own. They cannot handle to be outside of the herd. It's just not how their mind works. And there's nothing bad about it. It's just a fact. Some people feel very comfortable within a system. We feel very comfortable outside of that system. And so this is something that we should use to our advantage. If we're good at going the road less traveled, let's take that road because there are less people there. There's less competition there. There's less structure there that you have to obey. So often we feel like everybody is going down that road. And because of that, that is what is more established. That is what is more accepted. If I'm just part of this group over here, people are going to know I'm like a successful person, or I'm, a valuable member of society. When in the end, you can choose the road less traveled. You can go into a niche within your company. You can do the thing that nobody else wants or is able to do, but you can do, because it not only gives you the freedom to be yourself more because there's nobody beside you who expects you to be a certain way, but on top of that, you're doing the things that others are not able to. That is something that is valuable. That is something that will push you forward. That is something that will allow you to move forward in the world. And at the same time, you don't have to betray yourself. You have to do less of the things that you don't want and more of the things that you do want. So every single time you have the choice of, do I do what everybody else is doing, or do I choose the road less traveled? Take the road less traveled. That's the fastest way to move forward as an INFJ. Number 3, the less structure, the better. So INFJs are great at understanding structures. They can move within structures, but it's not what we're excellent at. What we're really good at, what sets us apart, is when we're able to create our own structure. It's in those situations where we're better than most. And so we should actually lean into the areas where we just genetically, just through the way our mind works, already have an advantage. We are great at creating systems that haven't existed yet. That's how the INFJ mind works. That's what is NI and TI to the core. Taking in information and creating a system that works. We as a group of INFJs have an advantage in this area, so we should choose those advantages in our life. This could look, for example, like you making a choice, am I going to work for a really big company or am I going to work for a startup? Because that startup allows me to create structures that haven't existed yet. When on the other hand, if I join this, let's say, medium-sized company, I don't have the choice to do that. I have to play by certain rules. Sometimes if you go, for example, to a very big company, you also have the freedom to be yourself and create your own structures, because it's so big that within that, you're actually allowed to create your own structures. It's actually those medium-sized places where there's still control over you, where INFJs are probably not going to succeed the most, because there we have to play by rules. We have to play within a system where the structures are very clear, and that is not the way that works best for INFJs. Again, there is no judgment here. The people who are most dear in my life actually fall into the other category. They work best within structures. They are really great at knowing what the rules are and playing by them. That's just not how we are. So do yourself a favor when you have decisions like this to make. Choose the area where there's less structure and where you can create that structure to begin with. This doesn't have to be something like, oh, what job am I going to take? But it can also be, where am I going to go on vacation? How am I going to, make that job happen within my company? Like, there's so many aspects to this. And every single time you allow yourself to create something amazing out of nothing, you'll get a huge payout out of it. And that doesn't have to be only financial. It can be that you have this amazing vacation because you allow yourself to look outside of the box, to create something that, like this, hasn't existed. You create the package for you, and you have that experience that you wouldn't have if you would follow all the other ways that the packages already exist, because they maybe then, fall out of your price range and whatever it is. But you, because you choose that country and that situation, create this amazing experience for yourself and get to live life even larger. Number 4, reprogram your mind to value your strengths and not your weaknesses. So we talked before about going towards your strengths. For example, if you're really good at making connections with other people and this is what you're good at, that you should mention those instead of trying to be great at the things that you're not good in to begin with, things that don't come naturally to you. I use that example of, the accountant and creating connections with people. But more than that, and this is what this point is all about, we have to start valuing our strengths. So it's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to choose the things that I'm good at and that others are not, but to doing this in a way where, we still feel like the loser. Yeah, that's the way for me to move forward, but the really good people are actually the accounting types. They're the ones who do the valuable work. I'm just like this, addition who sort of helps them and is getting accepted because of that. Let's change that narrative. I promise you it will change your life. So in that example, if you start valuing, for example, the fact that you're an artist and you think like accounting, that's like, losing it in your mind, right? That's like you saying, if I just do that, I've lost, because what I value is art. And if I'm not in the art world, I'm actually living a life that I personally don't like, right? That's what we have to get to. We have to start valuing what we're good at. And this really happens through repetition. So you talk to yourself in a positive way, you take action in those areas, because no matter how much you tell yourself, if you're not, creating that art piece, putting it online and saying, I want $10,000 for this, and you actually put yourself in a situation and in places where people who would pay $10,000 for this painting, would actually be able to see that, you're not giving yourself the opportunity that you deserve. So it's on us to change our mindset and to start valuing what we're good at. So really make that a point to figure out, what am I good at and what maybe I don't value about it. Am I still in the position where I think being an accountant, that's the valuable thing in society? And why was I put in the situation that I'm not good at the things that are being valued in society? Every single skill that you have is being valued in society. We just have to put ourselves in a position where people who value that skill as well can get in touch with that. And that can only happen when you start valuing what you have to offer. Practice it, put it into action, put it into the world, and start being proud of all of the strengths that you do have. Number 5, dare to be even more different than you already are. So we as INFJs, we go through life and we think we're different. There's something that is unique about us, positive or negative, but people just sort of guess and sort of like see that there's something that's off about me. But in most cases, and again, I've worked with thousands of INFJs, I've seen this over and over again, on top of the fact that I've experienced this for so often, we're not living out our true self because we think that is going to be even more unacceptable. We are sort of different, but we still want to be accepted to a certain extent. Well, let's go the other direction. Let's be as much of yourself as you possibly can. Do the things where you feel like people are going to judge you. People are going to think like you lost your mind. People are going to think you're completely, crazy. But the things that actually bring you joy, the things that make you feel alive. Like when I started doing this channel, I actually felt like I have given up on society. I went off the map. I went off the reservation. Everybody in my real life who would see that thing, who'd see what I'm talking about, would think I'm completely crazy. That's what I thought. Well, in the end, most people don't care. They maybe saw it, maybe they thought, okay, I didn't know that she was like that different and that weird, but it didn't really have big of an effect on how people reacted. Some people completely distanced themselves, but others accepted me. They just saw more of me. For the first time, my very best friends who I've known all my life told me, yeah, you are different. So those are people who I've been with my entire life, who I've gone to school with. So they've been with me every single day. And just at the age of, let's say, 28 or something, they see that part of me that I have kept hidden. So I'm telling you, if you want to create that amazing life, if you want to bypass everyone and feel like you're tapping into your potential, you have to allow yourself to be even more different, to be even more weird. All of those things that we judge about ourselves, that we keep hidden. You can take it step by step. You can say, what is a step that I can take that makes me get out of my comfort zone but doesn't overwhelm me? It doesn't matter how fast you go. It doesn't matter if you crawl because you can't walk, but take a step. Take a step towards everything that you are that you deem unacceptable in society. And you'll see that in the end, it was you who judged yourself from the get-go. Now I am this version of myself. I don't feel different. I don't feel weird because my entire life is built on me accepting myself. And so the people who are close to me, they accept me the way I am. And the people who don't are just not in my universe. So now I feel less different than I ever have. I feel less weird. And in comparison, I'm way more different. I'm way more like seen and, being judgeable, but it just doesn't feel this way. So if you take a step towards that, you're not only getting rid of all of this shame that is unnecessary because you're amazing the way you are, but you also allow yourself to tap into your potential and create the results you always wanted. Remember, if you want some more guidance in this, then check out the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life formula. And if you want to take it even further and create amazing results in your life, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide today. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch the video on the 5 reasons why the INFJ is so extremely dangerous.